Everybody, welcome back to the Unconquered Podcast film session. This, mercifully, is the last one from the 2018 football season. And it's one that, honestly, I didn't really want to do, so we're gonna go through this pretty quickly, but still worth, I guess, breaking down. I think a lot of people would just rather put this Florida game behind us. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at a few things and work our way into some discussion pretty soon of Kendall Briles and Randy Clements and what they're going to bring to the Florida State offense and some of the differences that we'll see from what we saw from them or what we saw from Walt Bell's offense the last half of the season, last third of the season, really, and also Willie Taggart's offense, which, Bell was really running Taggart's offense, but they had a lot of issues. They had a lot of differences of opinion in terms of the direction that certain things should go. Bell wanted to see more motion. He wanted to see a bit more variety in some areas, but Taggart wanted to go faster. And those things are a little bit at odds, and they didn't always see eye to eye on that. Bell, of course, did do what Taggart wanted, but that was not a great fit, and that's ultimately why, or one of the reasons among a few, why Walt Bell is now at UMass, and why Florida State is going to bring Kendall Briles, who is really the architect of, together with Art Briles, of course, the architect of an offensive system from which Taggart has borrowed heavily in the past to build the Gulf Coast offense. Now, the thing is, there is a pretty significant difference between the Gulf Coast offense and Briles' scheme. The Gulf Coast offense is not just Briles' scheme, but it incorporates a lot of other things. Briles' scheme is its own thing, so there are going to be some differences, and Taggart's going to give Briles a full control there. So we'll break down during the spring and the summer, and some of what we can expect to see in terms of differences. So here we got the first play. We've got a fake jet with a little counter action here. So we got H counter, and right away, now this is where you got a bad sign, right? You got motion from this side, which means you can't have a player off the line or on the line of scrimmage here. Guess what? You have a senior on the first play of your opening script off the line of scrimmage. He's got to be right there on the line of scrimmage so that you can actually run that motion. Instead, you get an illegal motion penalty, and there's nothing there anyway, but there's an illegal motion penalty, or illegal formation, that is, because you have a senior who doesn't line up right. It's awesome. That is Florida State football in a nutshell, and this is one guy I'm not going to be sad to see go. It is amazing to me that he managed to stay on the field repeatedly, despite all of the amazing I wish I could go into everything. All of the amazing behavior things that happened, even with the new coaching staff. This guy is not going to be missed, and it is. I think it was a mistake by the current coaching staff, by Taggart and his staff, to allow him to continue to play and to basically coddle him after all of this. And again, I want to take note, not only is he off the line of scrimmage, look at this effort blocking. Just standing there. That's a 0 for my players at the high school level. They have to do up downs during the week if I see that on film. All right. So here we go. Second down. Or I guess we're skipping to third down because, can. I'm using the ACC Digital Network's condensed game, so we're gonna miss some plays here. But anyway, we get third down here. Now, take note. quarterback should be keeping here, but is he even reading? Doesn't look like it. His eyes aren't on anything. The other thing that ultimately should be happening here, you have 2 over 2 playing off the ball. Get the ball out here. But I think this is a called give, so it doesn't really matter. So now we get Florida. First play from Florida, and this shows something. They're well enough coached not to get a illegal formation penalty on their first play, the play that you rep more than any other play over the course of the week, the first play of your opening script. And again, this is a situation I want to emphasize. Florida did not have a whole lot of talent. They didn't have more talent than Florida State this year. And this is something I was talking to somebody within the program who was saying, it's one thing to lose to a team that you should lose to a team that's better than you. And they felt like Florida State played 2 teams that were better in terms of the players on the field, significantly better overall in terms of personnel. And that was Clemson by a lot, and then Notre Dame by a little. And then everybody else, they felt like, saying we had same kind of players they did or better, but just couldn't get it done. Well, that's why we're going to see some changes this offseason. So now we see 3rd and 3, staying in this 4-3 look. And I do like Jackson at the will here better than anything they'd done earlier in the year, and it's kind of frustrating that they didn't just stick with that early in the year and just go with Warner at the Mike position. But Jackson does a good job of mirroring here, recognizes the concept, gets to the flat, gets underneath it. This is a ball that actually shouldn't have been thrown by the quarterback, but then Jackson turns and has something to say because, 5 and 6 teams can talk all they want, right? And this is just horrible. So they started Juwan Williams at tackle again trying to get the more talented lineman out there just to see if he would melt down again, and he does. You can see here, and this is about as bad as you're going to see in this game. I'm not sure why he's stepping forward at all. There's no reason to step forward and double there. You have one job. Your job is to make sure that this guy does not get to the quarterback. He steps forward, which shortens the corner, and then he's not quick enough to recover on that, turns his shoulders completely to the sideline. And what we've talked about all year, if you've been paying attention to these film sessions, is you want to keep, as a tackle, an offensive lineman, you want to keep square to the line of scrimmage as long as possible. This right here by Kelly's good in terms of technique. Square to the line of scrimmage so that if he goes inside, you can just fold him inside. And if he goes outside, if you stay square and just sink, he doesn't have a soft shoulder to shorten that corner, so he has further to go outside. Well, what does Williams do? He literally steps forward, turns his shoulders to the sideline completely, so with that step shortens the corner, then shortens the corner even more by turning his shoulders. See, if his shoulders are here, he's got to run outside that. And if he's back kick-stepping like he should be back in here, he's got to run all the way around here. Instead, he gets a straight line to the quarterback, and Francois does a good job just to keep this from being a safety. This is horrendous. What is he thinking? Now, I do want to call attention to something in terms of Florida State's protections that I learned after the season. They apparently do not call the mic at the line of scrimmage to set the protection, which is one of the reasons, or at least did not this season, which is one of the reasons that they had so many busts up front. And that's a decision within and how they decide how they ran the offense, and that's a problem. So in any case, in this front, what you're going to see, you would be calling this the mic so that ultimately you go big on big across the board, and then you are protecting in this direction because of where the mic is. So everything should set off of him. It appears that Williams is identifying Mike back here. But again, they're not calling it. So, and what in the world is he doing? That is as bad as you can see in terms of footwork. He almost trips up his own guard. See, what you should be doing is kick off of the instep here, kick back to this spot right here, keeping your shoulders square. Kind of like this. That's horrible. Glad we don't have to see that anymore this year. So now we see 2nd and 7 after a first down run. And this is again where Florida State, in terms of their defensive line, had better players than what Florida did. And they were able to get penetration, get it into the backfield as quickly as anybody. But Florida was able to execute a little better in terms of everything else. Not bad here. And this is what you're going to see against quarters. You're going to see that outside receiver go vertical and the inside guy run a quick out, and it's going to require that safety to come up from that inside position to try to make that tackle. It's tough to do. Now another first down run, 2nd down, and see, this is just simple technique by the Florida offensive tackle. And again, this is not a matter of him being talented. This has nothing to do with talent. This has everything to do with technique. All he does, you notice, is he kick steps and stays square so that Burns ultimately can't just run wherever he wants. Now, Burns still gets pressure because he's better. But because of the technique, he's able to ultimately allow his quarterback to get some time there. But they're getting pressure right away on Franks. But because of a little bit better technique, they're able to do what they need to do. Franks gets first down. Now, this is a situation where Florida just has basically an inside zone here, and they're going pretty vertical here with how they're doing that. This is a pretty aggressive, big on big run, and this is where ultimately you'd like to see your Mike linebacker be able to come up with the correct shoulder and not just take on that blocker. He does a good job of taking on that blocker, but see if he can get an arm on him a little quicker. Not bad overall, though. This is where you get a really bad call, though, on on 5. You end up with that personal foul call. And once again, pressure here is there. Tell you what, when they go 5 defensive linemen, they really have something. And here's something for next year. Take a look at 58 here. Here's the freshman. It's Dennis Briggs. It's good strength, good play strength. Now, you'd like to see him keep that contained just a little bit longer, get his foot out here a little bit so that the quarterback can't break contain, but that's pretty good. Now, this is where Burns, you can see Burns is special. Watch this right here. Watch the closing speed from Burns. And woof. Not bad. So they hold on 3rd and goal. And ultimately get a stop. So they get it in the shadow of their own goalpost once again. And here you see no movement, but that's not bad. They're running against a loaded box, so that's 5. That's 7 against 7 plus the quarterback. You've got to be able to as the quarterback run on that ideally. I think he's he should be reading here because of how they're whamming that. This is split zone coming across. He should be reading this backside backer, and because the backside backer keeps it outside, he hands it. So it's not a bad decision, but ultimately Florida State just not able to win enough inside. It's not bad. Looks worse than it is, and ultimately, they get a yard, a couple of yards. This is bad, though. Just running double slants on the bottom, and then a slant flat at the top. What he's doing is he's reading right here. If he comes in on the inside slant, he throws inside, but that's just a poor throw. And that's one of those where you notice he's spinning his shoulder again and throwing around his body. That's going to lead to that kind of miss. If he's able to deliver over and through, you can drive that ball into that gap. That's where it should have been. He could have had the slant on either side, the outside slant on either side. I think he got lucky there. It's an okay call. So now you have essentially the same play as the first play from scrimmage. Only difference is now you have a guy lined up wide here instead of off the ball here. So this is a legal formation. And it's pretty good here. Get a little down block from both the guard and the tackle, so you're getting double on the defensive tackle. Get the guard coming across to kick out the end. So double here, kick out the end. Bring it with the H as well, so that this is just a nice little counter. Guard, H, counter. Guard kicks out the end. H is your lead blocker. And the problem here for Florida is this guy here, who is their star, gets overexcited and gets upfield a little bit too much. And he should have this gap. This shouldn't be a big gain. He leaves his gap. And Patrick does a good job getting the yardage he needs to. A couple failures. After that, once again in 3rd and long, and this was a poor decision and a poor throw. Got your check down, but not only is your check down covered, but he's double covered. You got a robber in the middle too. I don't know where he's looking, but if you're going to check down anywhere on this, it needs to be out here right now. It's just really poor. And yet they still get the benefit of a flag, so they're able to hold on to it. Poor throw. And again, here you're all right. This is okay. There's enough time. So if we just play this at regular speed, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. That's good. That's a good amount of time. Just a poor throw. Throws it. Not only is it a poor throw, but throws him out of bounds. So ball snapped with 4:04. Throws at about the 4:01 mark, so plenty of time. Over 2.5 seconds. But again, notice all that weight is coming back and around his body. And so as a result, you get that. This ball needs to be thrown to the numbers. Now notice, they've got a little narrower split here from where he's throwing. This is basically a slot fade. So again, you've got all this space. Throw to the bottom of the numbers. Give your guy a chance. Overthrowing him there is inexcusable. And this is, again, just they know they're facing quarters, so they got one-on-one here, and it's tough for the safety to come out and handle this bubble by himself. And the corner playing off a little bit and has to because he's got him in man, basically. So then once he sees the ball thrown, he can come up, but that's a pretty easy 4 yards for a first down and ultimately get a good bit more than that. So here we've got a little corner blitz against a trips look with Samuels ultimately not getting there, and this is what allows there to be a wide open player initially, and he waits long enough that he's not wide open when he throws it. But I think he missed actually a guy straight down the seam. It was even more open. That's a catch. Not a terrible throw. And again, Florida State overwhelmed them up front in terms of defensive line. Look at this. Fred Jones shedding the block, causing enough havoc, combined with, who is that? Janarius Robinson? Or is that Kando? Yeah, that's Kando. Nope, that was Robinson. Janarius does a good job of closing that down on the tackle here. Inside out, and then just flow to the football. Not bad. A lot of pressure. Now, let's take a look at this. See that they've got a tight end in there. Pretty tight splits up front in terms of the offensive line. Lined up all the way on the sideline here to try to get this guy away from the hash. So what you're trying to do here for sure is put the constraint on these two players. And that should have been an easy pull read. If he pulls, he's running without any problem. But he doesn't. What you're looking at as a quarterback, where are his shoulders? Are his shoulders square, or are they at the running back? What do you think? That's pull read. Pull it. He's taking the back now. Pull that ball, and it's an easy first down. So many plays out there to be made. I mean, I don't think they called the game especially well, or the offense. I mean, I don't think the offense was great in terms of how it was called and set up this year, but there were a lot of plays to be made. This is one I wanted to take a closer look at. So this is the long run, and it's not clear which guy misses here. I'm inclined to think that it's Jackson. But ultimately what you've got here, you've got a D-gap player, and then you're going to have one of these two players has C-gap responsibility, and the other has B-gap responsibility. So it's either the backer has the inside gap, or the safety has the inside gap, and then the other is responsible for the other. So let's see. Yep, looks to me like this is a miss by Jackson here as much as anything, because actually what you've got 98 here has the B gap. Got the A gap here. So this is Werner. Werner has the A gap between the center and the left guard. 98 has your B gap between the guard and the tackle. And so your C gap between the tackle and the tight end is Jackson. And then the safety is basically just additional fill. So ultimately, Jackson has to maintain, his job is to maintain leverage and keep this outside shoulder clean so that he maintains the position. He closes down the gap between the offensive tackle and the tight end. So this is right from Robinson. You'd like to see a little more compression there, but that's not bad. But this right here is where Jackson tries to shed the wrong direction. See how he's shedding there? That allows the back to hit a seam that shouldn't be there. If he hits this properly, then he's got B gap, he's got C gap, and as the back goes to try to make this cut outside, if he keeps his shoulder clean, ultimately the back has nowhere to go here. I'm sorry, that's 91, not 98. It's the big boy, the freshman. And then the safety does take a bad angle, but ultimately, with where the back looks like he's going to be going, that's not terrible. The real problem's right here. It's, he's got to stay back just a little bit more to know where he needs to fill, but the real problem is that the backer allows himself to get turned. And then there's just nobody left. You run, Marvin Wilson. And Janarius, look at that. Now, here's something I want to point out. When the ball carrier gets through, you have Janarius Robinson and A.J. Westbrook both sprinting. Which one of them really wants to play? They're not going to catch him, but it does say something about your mentality. See that and see that? It says something about the mentality. Plenty of time here. Not bad from the tackles. Get Josh Ball in there, and he does, again, this is bad technique. He's opening right up. He should be dropping a little deeper, get a little more vertical set here, knowing the speed rush is coming. Don't turn your shoulders. That shortens that corner a little bit. But now, pretty good job overall. Get enough from the offensive line for plenty of time downfield. And Francois decides to throw 15 yards as hard as he possibly can. Now, the place I'd like to see this potentially go, given how much time you've got, it's right here. But third down, and now you get the Delta package on there. And again, I want to emphasize, Florida State got a lot of pressure on Franks, but Franks was just a lot better than Francois. I mean, this right here, you see people doing all the cut-ups of Florida State, like, oh man, look at this, he's got so much pressure. Yeah, that's fine. Guess what? So does Franks. Franks didn't see any more pressure on his than what Francois did here, and in fact, this is less. And once you get off that right there, you got plenty of time to set your feet and make the throw. And because you're spinning the shoulder open and throwing across the body improperly, you're going to end up with that. Helton, as usual, open. Helton's probably going to be the starter in the slot next year, folks. DJ Matthews, we'll we'll see. He's going to have his hands full holding Helton off. And this is just an RPO. You can see this all the way. Franks is reading right here. He's checking to see if this safety comes downhill. If the safety comes downhill to stop the run, he's tucking it in right behind him. And that's just so easy. Playing too far off as the corner. And in quarters, they know they've got that. Corner's going to have outside leverage. You got no chance here as a corner. If this guy comes down that quickly against this kind of RPO, this is the Clemson bear butt or what North Carolina under Fedora ran a lot as what they call the possum. Just run a 5-step slant, and that's easy. I mean, that's just straight design. I mean, all you have to do, you're reading this guy. Nice that they have the nice all 22 here for us. So all you're doing as a quarterback here, you see that you've got this look. You know he's outside leverage. You know you've got quarters because across the board, they are all about the same level. So you're going to get one-on-one, one-on-one, one-on-one. And now he's going to be one-on-one with the H-back. Now, what should be happening is this safety, if there's no vertical threat, should help bracket this receiver a little bit. But because of the play action, he's coming downhill to try to stop the run. And as soon as he comes downhill, there's just no chance that this corner has zero chance here. And again, it's just a little 5-step slant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just turn it in. Ball out on time. It's actually a little late. If he gets that out on time, that might score. Just way too easy. This is a bad call by Mullen. This is a quarterback draw all the way. And against Florida State in here, this just doesn't make sense to me. It's a bad call. Florida State just playing with a little spy. 3rd and goal, partly because of that bad call. Tons of pressure. And this game could have been really ugly early. Again, this isn't bad from the interior. Again, this is where Brady Scott, and I think I called him Josh Ball earlier, but Brady Scott, he's at least a fighter. See this right here? He's getting pushed a little bit. He's a little outmanned, but he's a fighter and at least does his job. Not bad on the double between the center and the guard here. Gives you enough space to get 5 easily. Just rushing 4. There's enough time there to make a decision, and he reads man of some sort and decides to get out there, makes a play. Imagine if he'd have done that all year. Not bad. Rushing 4 again, and Florida State going tempo here. Snapping it with 30 seconds left, 29 seconds. Notice they're not even fully set. Slowing that rush down just by how quickly they're going. Not a bad throw, but don't like the decision. That's a tough window. Nice catch by Nasir Upshur. Going with that little quads look they've done before. Trying to show the screen which is what they've tended to run there, and then all they're doing is pump and then get behind the coverage. Pretty good throw. And of course, he's got to flex and run into the guy there when you're down 13 points. That's really good. Love that guy. So Florida decides that's enough. Grantham has seen enough movement and brings 6. This time you see the same jet motion. They're going to run verticals out of that, and this is going to be one of the catches that, one of the best catches you'll ever see from a running back. I can understand celebrating after that one. First of all, you scored. Second of all, holy shnikey. Yep, you can celebrate after that one. All right, now we get our 3rd and 1 here, middle of the field. Florida State going very hard, emphasizing the inside, taking away the A and B gaps here. They get the push they want, but ultimately they fail to make the tackle inside. This has got to be Jackson right there. Misses it. Just doesn't quite get it done. Florida's able to win on short yardage a little too much, and it wasn't because of players, I can tell you that. Once again, you can see the players on the inside. You get Christmas, you get Wilson, these guys, and that guy. That guy's pretty good. Watch from the backside here. Gets up in there and pushes the pile. So now you have quads. This is a problem for everybody, especially with the college hashes, which are a little wider than the pros. That's why you don't see it as much in the pros. So 4/4 forces you to pull a safety out here and gets you the single coverage you want on that side. See how they're forcing you to favor. And ideally, what you want to do is you want to put Werner just a little closer out here, and you want to put Jackson right in here. And if you widen him a little bit, you can take away that inside. But they're basically going there or here. Pretty good coverage, just not a whole lot you can do. Let's see the technique here. You let him squirt release here. That's not as good a technique as I'd like to see. What you want to see as the DB is don't jump, don't hop. Move your feet, chop your feet, and he crosses over. See how he crosses his feet there? That's wrong. As soon as he crosses his feet there, that's death. What you want to do is you want to be patient. And then off that instep, move this foot a little bit. Don't pull that foot behind that foot. You want to keep your feet and kind of slide like you would in basketball. Chop the feet to keep your leverage, because you've got to protect the inside here. He's got inside leverage. Don't let him work you outside and get your balance off and then get inside. That's not what you want. Stay on his inside shoulder. If he wants to run to the sideline, let him run to the sideline, and then you turn late with him. That's okay. But instead, he gets inside, and then that's pretty good recovery from Samuels, but the technique's not great. Third and 1 this time, bringing 7 guys. Not bad from the Mike and the defensive tackle. And again, don't let anybody tell you Francois didn't have time to throw it. He had time to throw at different points. Here he actually makes a pretty good one. Now, here he doesn't have time to throw. That's bad. They're in max protect here. Florida rushes three players against max protect. And the defensive tackle splits the double team, and they get a sack in max protect against a 3-man rush. Well, this right here is why Tamorrion Terry not only is a top-level receiver, but NFL teams are going to love this about him. When your number one receiver is that eager of a gunner on punt return, that's something. All right, just letting it run a little bit. Florida starting to do what they do. Grinding the ball now, second half. 240-pound quarterback, and Dan Mullen is going to use every one of those pounds going forward. It's game putting away time, and again, see that the shoulders are to the back. That's easy read for a quarterback. Neither constraint player is going. You don't have to be a great runner. You just have to be a willing runner to get that. Burns is usually athletic enough to pull that out, but he does a good job of waiting until the very last second to pull that. Man, does that not look like it just happened in slow motion just so easily? One of the reasons is that there's nobody out there. See this? They're saying snap the ball. Why? Well, because there's one guy there. You have a safety, you have a corner, and there's nobody else over there. I'm not even sure there's another guy on the field. Okay, yeah, Fagan's over on the other side here. But with trips, they are misaligned. There needs to be a safety here. There's nobody there. It's just poor organization. I mean, this is top down on both sides of the ball. They've got to fix this. And Florida quick snaps it here, gets it off with 26 seconds. Notice Florida State's still adjusting, not even set. Got a guy putting his mouthpiece in. You got guys talking, where do I need to be? It's easy. I mean, this is just bad, guys. This stuff can't happen. In year two, there's no excuse for this. Once you get to next year, this needs to stop. They got to figure out a way to be more organized across the board on both sides of the ball. That's bad, man. There's nobody there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. It's just so bad. This should be right here. Should be Burns in there, but they recognize that he's not a backer, go after him, and Florida State's just getting settled. Do we really want to see more of this, folks? I'm going to do just a little bit more. So here's another thing. This is fine. Get this out. That's the right read. But don't make him jump for it. Get it on him now. And this is something that, is underrated for quarterbacks. How quickly can it hit your hand and you get it to the guy that you need to get it to? Because they know, based on Florida State's tendencies, when they see this, they know that this is going to be a screen or a quarterback run. So as soon as they bring this, he's coming straight downhill. So get it out there right away. He's got a chance. Harrison does a good job of just avoiding contact there. And once again, strip sack. Now, I will say he had more space to step up. But ultimately, this is on the left tackle. Step up a little bit more, quarterback, but that's on the left tackle. Ball game's over at this point. He's a little late on that, too, actually, quarterback is. Looks like Y cross. He's trying to come right here. And then this puts the game away, and I'm not gonna break this down any further. We might look at a couple things in the second half, or in the summer or the winter, even in the spring. But I don't want to see any more of this. This is just bad. Max protect here. Give him plenty of time, and then just let the corner, or let the receiver work off the corner a little bit. He's covered now, and then he works off of that, comes into his spot. Can't cover that. Yeah, and that's why you don't overthrow this guy. It's one thing you can't afford to do. And we'll just go ahead and wrap it there, with that being the lasting image of the Florida State 2018 season. If anybody has any specific stuff from the year that you want me to break down, and that includes other teams, other coordinators, any specific stuff from the Briles offense, anything that we didn't cover over the course of the year in terms of Florida State this year, I'll be happy to do that over the course of the year. I'm going to be doing these film sessions all year. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it here, because I can't take a whole lot more of this. This is it's no fun to break down, guys. All right. Once again, thanks for a good season in terms of support. Very much appreciate all of you on Patreon, and I'm going to do my best to keep some good content flowing over the course of the off season.